Welcome to Flutter tutorial number 1. We're going to look into how to install Flutter. So go ahead, go to the following website. So this is Flutter official website, and it starts with how to install Flutter. So there are 3 operating systems supported: Windows, Mac, and Linux. So for this, we're going to look at Windows. So the first thing is that it says about system requirement. Even though it shows here this is very minimum requirement, but you need to have better. In this case, for example, Windows 10, go for Windows 10. It's stated here Windows 7, but better go for Windows 10, 64-bit. Disk space 400 megabyte. This is barely minimum. Go for SSD drive with 10 gigabyte or more for the installation storage. But for the IDE, for the Flutter SDK 400 megabyte, yeah, it should be okay. But the IDE and everything, you need more. Tools, you need command prompt. So Windows 10 comes with command prompt. You don't have to download a Windows PowerShell. And also Git. So this is a repository downloader. So you need to have Git in your computer. So go ahead and install Git. So this is quite easy. You download Git and then install. It should automatically install for you. So you can just check through the command prompt here. Type Git version. Should return Git version. So it means that you have a successful Git install in your computer. So next, you can start to download the Git repository. So again, go to the command line, cmd. What you need to do here is make sure you are in the directory which is not require any elevated privileges, such as a program file or in the Windows directory. So for example, in your home directory or in your C directory. So for in this computer, I did install this in drive C. So my Flutter is in the following directory. So in here. So this is where my Flutter has been downloaded. So if you want to install here, you just go to the root directory and use this command, git clone stable git, and paste into here, press enter. It should download and create the directory automatically, such as this. But for this example, I'm going to download this just to show you in the home directory. So here, this is cuser/makerslab. So go ahead and use git clone to download this. Press enter. Alright, so you need to wait this. Depend on how fast your computer, your network, your internet. So you might need to wait a while. So I'm going to pause this first. Okay, once done downloading the Flutter SDK, you can check here. So if you put the following command, dir, you can see that there's a Flutter directory inside this home directory. So you can just go into that directory. You can see we are now inside Flutter directory. So you can just dir, and this is the content of the directory. So easy if you like to see this inside inside your browser. So you can just go to Explorer. You just go to the following directory. So this is based on your username. So this is the computer, the lab names. So there's a bunch of files here. The most important file is inside this folder, bin. Okay, so this is very important folder which contain Flutter binary. So we're going to copy this, and then the next step from here, okay, once you have your Flutter inside your directory, you need to update your path, or what we call as an environment path. So to do this on Windows 10 is quite easy. Just type in env, edit the system environment variables. So here you can see the system properties, and there's this one option here under tab advanced environment variable. Click on this button and select path. So this path we need to edit and add the Flutter directory into this. So since this computer is using this directory, so for you might want to add new, Ctrl V, paste, make sure that this is the correct directory referring to the bin folder inside your Flutter. So in this case, I'm not going to update mine, so I'm using this directory, so I'm going to cancel. Right, so once you have done that, you need to close your command prompt and open your command prompt again. This is the important part. Alright, so since this computer already been set up properly, so if you run this command called Flutter Doctor, you're going to end up with a list of summaries, and Flutter Doctor basically going to check all the requirement needed for Flutter to run in a computer. So in this case, you can see Flutter, it turned to green, means that the Flutter SDK is successfully installed. In Flutter also require Android tool change, so that you can use AVD, Android virtual devices. It needed the SDK for the Android. If you like to compile to Android later, you need this SDK, the software development kit for the Android. And the Android Studio itself, because Android Studio comes with Android virtual devices, we're not going to use Android Studio, since Android Studio, even though you can develop Flutter with Android Studio, but Android Studio, they are very resource intensive. It's very slow. If you are running on a not so good computer, you're going to have problem with Android Studio. So we just install Android Studio for the sake of the AVD. Okay, so you need Android Studio and also Visual Studio Code. So this is the one that we're going to use to develop Flutter. We're going to check one by one. Connected devices, if you connect any device or even AVD itself, it basically check on that. But the most important thing is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this 4, if you are first time running, you're going to end up with a lot of error here, because Flutter Doctor will check all the required component needed for Flutter to work. Alright, so continue. So you can see here, this is the expected output that you might need it. When you run Flutter Doctor for the first time. Android tool change, developer for Android devices. Android SDK is missing, so you need to download this first. And we're going to continue for the next section, which is Android setup. So Android setup, requires you to install Android Studio. Okay, so go ahead and download Android Studio from the developer.android.com studio. So this is quite big, so you need good internet connection doing this. Okay, you need to download and install Android Studio. So go ahead and download Android Studio and install in your computer. So in this case, I'm going to show you a complete Android Studio that already been installed in this computer. So I'm going to open Android Studio. What are the things needed for Android Studio to works? Go ahead and try to search any Android Studio installation. Alright, so Android Studio, the things that you need. I'm going to... Okay, so this is basically if you haven't yet installed any Android Studio before. So the latest version of Android Studio is 3.5. You don't have to create any new project at all. So all you need to do is just go to the following menu. Choose, the first thing is you need to go to setting. You need to go to plugin. You need to search for Flutter. Okay, so install Flutter. Install this plugin into your plugin manager. Okay, so the plugin manager might request additional, because Flutter run on Dart, it will request to install Dart together. So go ahead and install that. Right, so that is the first thing that you need to do. The second thing that you need to do is you need to go to menu, configure menu, and then access the SDK manager. You need to make sure the following. So at least you need one SDK platform. So in this case, by default, if you haven't yet, you need to have Android 10, which is the latest Android version, Android Q. Or if not, you can go ahead with Android 9. Go ahead and install Android 9. This is very important. The second thing that you need to do is to make sure this is all latest. Android SDK tools, the SDK tools for Android is the latest version. So for example, the Android emulator version 29, Android SDK platform also the latest version. So this Android emulator, there's a new update for this. Later I'm going to install. But this part here is very, very critical for your AVD. So if you are running on Intel based processor, i3, I believe i5 or i7, it came with accelerator that you need to enable first through computer BIOS. So you need to go to your BIOS and enable your acceleration. Okay, you can look into that, how to enable the acceleration for Intel through BIOS. Okay, so make sure you updated this and press OK. You need to create one AVD. Then you need to go to AVD manager, create one AVD. So you haven't had one, you can create new device manager, choose one, choose the one comes with a Play Store. This one, this one, this one, or this one. If you are running on a low-end computer, you might need to choose something like this or this. Okay, so this should be okay. No, this one, lower resolution. If not, you're going to have trouble running your AVD. Alright, so create one if you haven't had one. So for example, like this. Next. Okay, so you need to download this. This also will take times, the system image for the particular operating system. So I use Android Pie. So download Android Pie. You can also use, if you like to try Android Q. So you go ahead and download Android Q. But bear in mind, the size of the API, the size of the image is quite big, 1 GB. Alright, so next, and finish. Create on that. So once you have that completed, you don't have to worry about anything else. Close this. Then moving on to the next step. this one is basically to set up the Android emulator. You can just follow here how to enable VM acceleration on Intel machine. You can launch the AVD, you can test your AVD. Okay, you can just follow here under setup Android emulators. So next step, this is our editor. So this is if you like to for example, in this tutorial we're going to use Visual Studio Code. If you like to use only Android Studio, you can just use Android Studio, but I'm going to use Visual Studio Code because this is a lightweight editor compared to Android Studio. This is quite heavy, so lightweight editor allow you to develop application faster and not much resources needed to run Visual Studio Code. Alright, so to install Visual Studio Code, go ahead and download Visual Studio and install into your computer. So you can go to the website here and download Visual Studio. Okay, you can just download and install in your computer. So once you install Visual Studio, you need to install Flutter and Dart plugin, the same like Android Studio before. So go ahead and open your Visual Studio Code. So to install Flutter and Dart plugin, you can go to this command palette, alright, and install extension. Okay, type in install extension and then choose install extension. So this is the extension that you need. So here type in Flutter. Okay, so since I already installed Flutter, so you can choose this. And also awesome Flutter snippet also you can install. Flutter widget snippet, so some other snippet, but the most important plugin is Flutter itself. Okay, go ahead and install. So make sure that the status is something like this. Alright, so once completed, you can go back and check. You can check, or you can close first and then open again your Visual Studio Code, and then you can go back to the view command palette and type in just Flutter new project, and you just select this. So it means that now your AVD is accepting allowing you to create new Flutter project. Okay, so that's it for the installation of Flutter. So again, you can, once you complete everything, you can rerun your Flutter Doctor and check if all the installation requirement are completed. One more thing, if you notice here, that is just warning. Okay, so you might need to accept all the Android requirement for the license for the Android. So you can just follow the command or the instruction available, but for this it's supposed to be okay now. It should turn green except for this one, because this one you need to connect to device first. For example, let me run one AVD. Okay, so let me run one AVD. So this AVD, press button run. Okay, can close all this, give it a try again. Okay, now you have one connected device here available. So all the Flutter Doctor tick or turn to green means that you have a complete Flutter development environment. So yeah, that's all for the first series of Flutter tutorial on installation. See you next session.